What's going on YouTube? It's Caleb, the C Gull Gulley here with the Season 7 draft prep video from the West Texas Wingulls. Really excited about this upcoming season. We are in Season 7 here. We've played, I guess a year now, or about to be a year now, doing this Pokemon Draft League. Started off with 4 of us, and now we're up to an 8-team season this Season 7 coming up. So that extra expansion has brought also a lot of new people here. So this was Chris Marks' idea. He's the head coach of the Toronto Trick Roomers, trying to get some draft prep videos out there from our fellow teammates and just kind of let our experience kind of show them how we do this. This is probably realistically not my best draft prep I've ever done, just because I had this fairly unique idea that I wanted to try out. We'll get into that in a minute. But because of that, I feel like it left some holes going forward. But without further ado, first thing I want to look at, though, we have this Google Doc that has our overall tier list for the entire season or Series 9 ranked rule set. And having this here, there's a lot of Pokemon. So typically, when I start this, I usually look for, basically what's available to begin with. As you can see, there's some Moltres, the Galarian Moltres, Primarina, Vaporeon, and the Incineroar are all franchised Pokemon with their respective teams, with Moltres being on the Toronto Trick Roomers, Primarina being with the Nashville Ninetales, and Vaporeon with the Jersey City Jirachis. And myself having Incineroar, this will be my last season to have it. After this, I have to relinquish the free franchise, and anybody else can pick it up next draft. So that's kind of the first thing I look at when dealing with this. But as you can see, we have a lot of Pokemon here. We have a Legend tier, G-Max, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4. So what I do right off the bat is I'll go through here and I want to do some homework on Articuno. In the Legend tier, see, what is this? What does Articuno do? Is this something I want to build around? And as I go through each of these Pokemon, I'll take a look at Raikou, see what Raikou can do for my team. And I'm just going to keep working my way down through this Legend tier. And eventually, some of these Pokemon I've used in the past, like I've used Galarian Moltres, have a championship with it. I've used Tapu Fini before, really like this Pokemon a lot. Had it in Season 4, used it, also have a championship with it as well. But there's like Pokemon here like Appleton in the G-Max tier. Figuring out how does Appleton work seems to be more successful in like a Trick Room like team. Just because it's slower, but you can utilize gravity to work with its signature moves to do extra damage there. Same with Flapple. And it's kind of like breaking down what you see in this G-Max tier. As you can see, there's quite a few Pokemon, but there is Eevee here. There is Pikachu. So these are Pokemon that most likely not going to get picked up, but both these Urshifus here, pretty big. And then Cinderace is also another one that you always kind of have to look at just because it's a really good jack of all trades for typing with its Libero ability. And Alchemy in the past has given me problems. Shout out to Nashville Ninetales with how they were able to use it to really boost up its damage compared with the Tier 4 with the Charjabug. So, there's some unique combinations that really work out here. But, we basically, to sum this idea up real quick, I just go through this entire list of Pokemon. Some of these I know fairly well, some of them I don't. Getting an idea of, okay, how does Gothitelle work? Is there a game plan I can use for Gothitelle? And just see, can I build around this? Do I want to build around this? Because the way this league works is you get 1 Legend, 1 G-Max, 2 Tier 1s, 3 Tier 2s, 3 Tier 3s, and 3 Tier 4s. So already having Incineroar, I have to be very careful with my Tier 1 pick. Whereas if I had it as a G-Max or a Legend, I have 2 picks there. But Incineroar being my first overall pick in the first round is impactful with how I go through and how I navigate this draft. But moving on, we look at this reduced tier list. And so this is significantly cut down from what I had. But the Pokemon here are all Pokemon that I would like to use. I have previously used, and really in this Season 7, experimenting a little bit. So some of these Pokemon here are either comfort picks, like, you see Landorus Therian. I've used Landorus Therian before. I've used it in rank play. The Tapu Fini, like I said, it's already one of them I really like to use as well. I use Thundurus on my ranked team currently. Tornadus I used in Season 5. Zapdos is another one I always like too. So these are Pokemon that I'm really comfortable with. And generically, if I had any of these legends, I'd be really happy to have them on the team and be able to use them as a carry throughout the season. And this list is in no particular order. This is all alphabetical order, just basically cutting down the tier list as is. But the Gmax, as you can see, really trimmed down with Blastoise, Charizard, Cinderace, Grimmsnarl, Kingler, Lapras, Rillaboom, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Urshifu Single Strike, Venusaur. All of these are the Gmax Pokemon that I think I can build around. These are Pokemon that, you got Shell Smash with Blastoise, so if you have Redirection, you can kind of get it set up and going. It can also be a Fake Out. It can be a supportive Pokemon using Yawn. With Flip Turn, they, swap out after it's done its job. So there's things you can do with the Blastoise. Charizard's great in the sun. Also, you can go back to an old school move set back in the day when people would use Belly Drum on Charizard. Something that I think could actually be really fun in a draft league format, just because it has not been seen often, and it can catch somebody off, and that is valuable in a draft league series sometimes. Cinderace we already talked about a little bit. Just Jack of all trades, can cover a lot of types. It can be your physical carry, but it also can be a supportive Pokemon with Ally Switch, Helping Hand, things like that. And coaching. And coaching's really valued because you can use that behind Protect and get an automatic +1 in your attack and defense, which is extremely valuable. Grimmsnarl with Prankster, fantastic. Just get your screens up when you want. You have speed control with Thunder Wave and things like that. And generically, that's kind of what I look at is, what are the roles of these Pokemon? And this and to jump off this sheet real quick, I have a really ugly sheet that I build this with. It's an archetype sheet, and it basically covers your Fake Out, your Prankster, your Terrain Setters with abilities. You can do that with Prankster as well. And you also have your Trick Room set. You have your Intimidates, your Tailwinds. You have your generically supportive Pokemon. Redirection here. I also like to have my physical carries, special carries of Pokemon that I like through the overall tier list. Taunt's blank. I like to see if I can find a Taunt Pokemon. A lot of these Pokemon carry it. It just ends up being a really long list. So I usually fill that out on the Pokemon I feel like it's necessary on, especially like if I have a Lipard. I know it carries Taunt, which is very important. Same with like Incineroar is another one. You probably can't see that because how this sheet's set up. But you have your walls and you have your other like supportive weird set stuff like Weezing turning off abilities and Serena. So this is a very ugly sheet. And typically it's I have a whole lot of other things going on with it. Like I said, Season 7 feels like I slacked a little bit. But all that formulates this reduced tier list here where I look at stuff like, okay, can I use an Aerodactyl for a Tailwind setter? Or is Umbreon using Snarl and Foul Play extremely valuable for my team? Is there a way I can set up SQ using a Hell Team and utilizing its ability? Is Tangela going to be fantastic for Rage Powder with Eviolite out of Tier 3? This is kind of what I look at here. And this Tier 4 slot, there's a lot of Pokemon here. And Tier 4 is one of the few tiers I don't really go in with this massive game plan that I have to have this Pokemon. Just because Tier 4 is a lot of wild cards. Like, in previous seasons, I've used Cottony to great success. I really like this Pokemon. The only thing difference between it and Whimsicott is you don't really get Tailwind, but you get a lot of the Prankster usability out of it. And if you slap an Eviolite on this thing, it's extremely bulky, and most people don't want to have to deal with take 2 turns to KO a Cottony, mainly because you can do Charm, drop somebody's attack, also drop their special defense with Fake Tears, so it's really complimentary in getting the ball rolling, and it's one of those Pokemon I think people are going to start respecting more, but typically it kind of gets forgotten about. Sock here is a really good fighting type because it also gets coaching. Something in this league that we have learned is that close combat on a fighting type is just fantastic damage no matter what you're doing. So having that is a fantastic deal. Uh, and also, like I said, coaching is just a great supportive set. Also gets helping hand, and it's decent speed too. So like these tier fours, it's kind of like how can I get them to fit on my team? How can I utilize them? Like I've used Crustal before in the past. Really like using the Shell Smash set with it to be able to get ahead. And actually, you can speed creep it to outspeed maybe a max speed Jolly Cinderace. Which I've done in the past, works out rather well. It's a great way to catch somebody off guard if you have the redirection to set it up. So that's kind of like this whole generic thing is just finding things that I like and okay, how do we build a team out of the things we like essentially? And this goes back and forth. Like there's Pokemon on here like Toxicroak was something I didn't have on this list. And it came back after a discussion with a fellow player in the league, just about some generic stuff. Like, oh, I think that could actually be kind of good. So let's take another look at it. Selgor is a really good supportive Pokemon, but like there's Pokemon in here that come and go, depending on oh, I'm really liking this. Well, is there something I might have neglected on the big tier list that I can have on this reduced tier list? And so I go back and forth and usually make a few changes periodically. But the main thing here is we take this and now we're going to formulate a plan. So we have a draft board, and this is where I do everything moving forward. This is where everything from the draft formulates to the team we end up putting on the field. And this is where I guess you have to be really adaptable. You have to have a clear game plan. You have to know when you kind of want to prioritize things throughout the draft. And I don't have a number. I'll actually just kind of go through where I'm talking about on these Pokemon. But we do know we get Incineroar with the first round pick that we have. Actually recording this video a few hours before I draft this evening. And so I know I have the third overall pick in the draft, which is good, but I already have that locked up for Incineroar. And seasons past, it was a snake draft, so I'd be picking late second round. But in this season, we're actually doing a standard draft 1 through 8 for all 13 rounds. And so knowing that, it kind of allows me to be able to kind of pilot and think about what do I need for my second round, what I need to prioritize, things like that. So there's some of a mental game there and figuring out what is a good game plan to work with. But let's kind of walk through what we think on the West Texas Wingulls draft board is, and we'll start from the legends here. I've already got these already pre-typed in. I just went ahead and cleared all my walk through some of these Pokemon individually with you. But starting off in the legends here, one of my favorites and probably our highest prioritized Pokemon is this Tapu Fini. I'm a huge fan of Tapu Fini. Being able to set up with Calm Mind, with getting your special defense and your special attack up one stage, being able to use a leftover set, being able to use Citrus Berry, being able to be completely supportive with using Heal Pulse, or being able to do something with Soak to be able to set up maybe a grass or electric type is a fun set to do, and I've done in the past. This Pokemon can be very bulky. It's something that can also hit very hard, especially if you have weather or it sets on weather. And also the big thing with Tapu Fini is the variance control that you have with Misty Terrain. So having Misty Terrain for me is a really big deal. I don't like to deal with a ton of statuses. And if I can negate those and have terrain control, it is in my favor. Because typically the games in series I have lost in the past have come down to unlucky RNG luck, and that is part of the game. And so if there's a Pokemon that can help me get rid of that, I like to prioritize it. And also, Tapu Fini can just do a lot of different roles. And so because of that, it's something that second round, third overall pick, if it's on the board, I'm immediately taking it. Without a doubt. But moving on. Another legend that we really like here is the Thunderous Incarnate. We really like having Defiant. Is really good to negate any stat dropping abilities. You also get Prankster with this Pokemon too, so you can go supportive with it as well as a physical attacking carry. It also gets some pretty good special attacking moves as well. Plus you can get Prankster with a Nasty Plot off, which I think there is some value there. Currently using it on a ranked team that I like to run on the ladder. Something that if you have a team that can support this, I think it can be a very good physical carry for the team. Electric Flying deals with a lot of different things out of this legend tier, and it's relatively fast. So having that speed control is important. And you can also bulk this thing a little bit to be able to live some hits. So going forward, we'll go look at the other Pokemon from this trio is Landorus Therian. Having the massive attack set, you can go Choice Scarf set. Intimidate's huge. That's something we didn't touch on with Incineroar, but cutting down your physical attackers that you have to face is fantastic. Being able to cycle those and be able to cycle, get their physical attackers down, then set up maybe a Swords Dance can be huge, and also can turn a battle in your favor. So Landorus is something that if I can't get Thundurus or Tapu Fini, would be really interested in getting. I don't think I really get Landorus. I think somebody prioritizes this higher than I do. But if it's on the board and I can't get Fini and haven't picked my Legends here yet, would be happy with it. So it's a solid complementary attacker. It also can be very supportive. I've used it as a support, getting Sandstorm and Sludge Waves off to set up a Tapu Fini in seasons past. Another Pokemon here is Zapdos. Electric Flying type again. I like Zapdos because you get a lot of different coverage with Zapdos. You get your Heat Wave, you get Hurricane, you get Thunder or Thunderbolt. You don't get Tailwind, which is unfortunate. That was something that lost in Generation 8. But Zapdos here can be a very good fill piece for your Legends here. Can cover a lot of different things. Predominantly a special attacker, but you can make a bulky Zapdos where you can live a lot of different things too with Assault Vest and kind of go that route. And realistically, as a Pokemon I've used in the past, would be happy to use it again if I needed to. Max Airstream is a fantastic Dynamax attack, and having 3 Pokemon here that can utilize Max Airstream as Stab, I think is a very complementary piece to them. And then we also got the Galarian Zapdos. This is another Defiant user. You get coaching. I like Thunderous Kick. You have Detect, which we haven't had anybody try to imprison Protect yet, but having that as an option is kind of nice. Close Combat is always solid as an attacking move, but Fighting Flying is a fairly decent attacking combo. You can be maxed or not, and you're going to get some benefits there. And plus, any stat dropping with Dynamax, you can utilize that. Same with Thundurus. So Zapdos, Galarian Zapdos, something that is on this list. Well, I think I'd rather go with regular Zapdos over it, but the physical, speedy version of it is not a bad alternative at all, and something that I'd be content in using. So keeping in line with having a lot of electric types in this Legends here, we have Tapu Koko, an electric terrain setter. So that helps with negating any kind of sleep. The thing I like about Tapu Koko the most is you can either go physical or special. It can kind of flex back and forth. You can kind of do some supportive things with it. I mean, Nature's Madness is something all the Tapus have, and if you can cut a HP bar down by 50%, that's a fantastic deal. So Tapu Koko is actually a fairly good generic piece. You can kind of use it in a lot of different ways. You got Dazzling Gleam if you want it. If you need to do like a Wild Charge physical set, downsides you don't really get a good physical attacking fairy move, but Tapu Koko can kind of fill in a lot of different places. It can kind of be a bulky Pokemon, kind of set you up. And, if you have electric terrain users that can use it, or somebody who can be an Unburden user with either one of these terrain setters, it's fantastic. So Tapu Koko is something that, realistically, it's probably right behind Zapdos. So I don't know if somebody takes it in this draft. If Fini's not available, I realistically do not think Landorus or Thundurus might be there either. So I'll probably be picking the Legends here later. So it's something that realistically it might be something I fall back to, but it'll be a late round or a late draft pick for me, just because I think it can be good, but I think it'd be if it rounds out the team or not is kind of where I'm viewing it. It's kind of like Tapu Fini or bust, unfortunately, but that's kind of where I'm at right now, just because I really value Tapu Fini, and if I don't get that, I think there's other things in this draft that you'll get to see that are really valuable and something that I'd put above it. So moving forward, let's look at this G-Max tier. And so First G-Max on this list is Venusaur. So a little bit on this West Texas Wingulls draft board, I guess, to uh, explain maybe the direction that we're looking at. Really kind of trying to want to use weather to an extent. And Venusaur, with or without weather, can be very good. Obviously, if you can utilize the speed boost with chlorophyll, it is a great addition, and you can get some bulk and then get something to outspeed some of the Pokemon. And the nice thing in Draft League is you don't have to be able to outspeed the top echelon of Pokemon. You just have to be outspeed the fastest member on their team. So having that for Venusaur is something that can abuse that with Sun. You don't even have to have Torkoal. You can actually use it a lot of different ways to set Sun. Sunny Days carry on a lot of different Pokemon. So Venusaur with that G-Max Vine Lash, you got Weather Ball, you get ground coverage, you have poison moves, so you can boost your special attack. So overall, Venusaur I think is one of the better G-Maxes here for what I'm looking for on this team. Cinderace, like I said, was already a good one, but Venusaur, top G-Max for me for the West Texas Wingulls this season. But moving on, we were talking about Sun. Charizard in the Sun doesn't get the speed boost, but Solar Power and Life Orb is a fantastic combo. Something that you can get a lot of extra damage on the board. And G-Max Wildfire, fantastic coverage. Or Fire in general is just a good attacking type, but G-Max Wildfire and that chip damage that you get is just valuable. Something that you're scared of rock types, but you do get Solar Beam, you do get Dragon moves, get Scorching Sands. So like a lot of things that you can cover your weaknesses with Charizards. You also get Max Airstreams as well. So there's that aspect of things. But on the flip side, we did talk about that potential as a physical Charizard, something that might be able to catch somebody off guard. So having something that can flip back and forth is something kind of valuable. And a video on the internet, seeing a Trick Room style Charizard circulating as well. So this thing can be kind of versatile. And so you wouldn't really think that. Most people think it's supposed to go fast and hit hard. But you can slow it down, get maybe some bulk on it, and kind of catch somebody by surprise. So the third G-Max Pokemon here that we really kind of like is this Grimmsnarl. We touched on it a bit earlier, but having Prankster for screens or Lagging Tail with Thunder Wave for speed control, Grimmsnarl can do a lot of things extremely well. And you really want to carry more than 4 moves on it, but Grimmsnarl also being a fake out user. But Grimmsnarl here, really bulky. Give it light clay. You have screens all game. And anytime you cut down your opponent's damage, it's just valuable in general. So Grimmsnarl is something that, if I can't get either of these two, Grimmsnarl is something that I would be very content with having on the team, especially with our team building strategy. You can have, you have to carry your Tier 1, 2, and 3. If you don't use your Legendary G-Max, you don't have to use Tier 4. But if you are, you do have to use Tier 4. So this might be able to complement some of those lower tier Pokemon to allow them to stay on the field longer to do their jobs and get that damage in. So Grimmsnarl could be very good support here, and something that if I can't get either of these carries, Grimmsnarl is something that I'd be very happy with on this team. So going forward, Lapras here. Something on the Lapras I really like is G-Max Resonance. So getting basically an Aurora Veil up for using an Ice type move is great. Lapras has several good abilities with Shell Armor or Hydration. So having those where you can't get statused if it's raining, which is going to happen if you're using your Water Stab moves. And you also having the screens, you can go Light Clay, you can go Life Orb, you can go Weakness Policy. There's a lot of different item sets you can use on Lapras to having some success on it. And something also, you can do a Perish Song set. So you can have Max Guard, but when you come out of Max, you can Perish Song if you have them down to a 2v3 or something like that and lock the game up that way. So Lapras, very versatile. Something that I have not used, but I have suggested to Chris when we talk about our team building and stuff, is maybe using a physical Lapras at some point that catches opponent off guard. So you can go physical with Lapras. Those stats are relatively the same. There's a Dragon Dance variant, as well as, you can just go max and be physical when they're expecting you to be special. So they set up Light Screen, but you're physical, so that doesn't affect anything. And so there's some mind games you can play with Lapras, which is a lot of fun. And something to, like I said, I think mind games are very valuable in draft in a Pokemon Draft League. So So Urshifu Rapid Strike. This Pokemon is should be in the Legends here, realistically. Both Urshifus, actually. I'm pretty sure. I think where is this other one? We'll talk about them both at the same time. So Urshifu Rapid Strike. I have one between these two, but Urshifu Rapid Strike, Urshifu Single Strike, both of them being able to negate Protect is a massive deal. So having them, be able to do any move really, but also being able to always crit is a big deal with either Wicked Blow or Surging Strikes. So having that available, only max guarding to be able to prevent these Pokemon from hitting through Protect is a big deal. So these Pokemon, very good. They can do multiple things. Mostly, you want to carry their signature moves. You have your protecting move typically. You can go Choice Band. You can go Choice Scarf. There's things like that you can do. Rapid Strike's really good about setting up Colossal, which is probably really good in ranked play. I don't think as a draft league thing it's the most ideal scenario, but Single Strike is pretty good. The only reason I have Urshifu Rapid Strike above Single Strike is Rapid Strike actually wins that 1v1. If you happen to be against the team that has the other one, close combat into dark fighting is a pretty good decision in general. So, but let's talk about this Pokemon in between. So we got this Blastoise again, the third Cantonian starter. And realistically, I like the idea of getting a Shell Smash off and trying to carry with it, with either physical or special split, and getting that chip damage with its G-Max move is very valuable. Anytime you can get passive damage in a game, I think it's worth it, especially in doubles where every bit of your health part matters. But being able to preserve health bars and maybe if they protect, you're still taking a decent chunk out of them. It's solid. It's solid damage overall, and you need damage to win. So Blastoise is something I like. Obviously, if we go Feeny, Lapras and Blastoise probably fall in priority, but if we don't, Lapras and Blastoise probably go up, as well as Urshifu Rapid Strike. I guess going down, I think we got one or two more. Yeah, this is the last one right here. Rillaboom, last G-Max. Grassy Surge for grassy terrain. Fantastic. You have Fake Out. You can be really bulky. Grassy Glide damage is absolutely nuts. So Rillaboom, in general, just a very good G-Max Pokemon. Something that you can do a lot of different things. Typically aren't maxing it, so but that's nice. It opens up your max elsewhere within a game. Rillaboom can be very supportive. It can also be your hyper offensive carry. If you have a way to set off weakness policy, you have access to acrobatics, so you can get a really strong flying type move on it. You have ground coverage, so you can deal with your fire weakness. So you have a lot of different things with Rillaboom you can do, and also grassy gliding for neutral damage with priority is just nice. Priority moves in general are just nice. So Rillaboom's a good Pokemon to have, but we've used it in the past. This season I don't think we'll get to it. I think other people are going to take it before us, but if it's on the table and we don't really have any other options like Rillaboom, very happy to have it. Also, it helps with the Fire, Water, Grass core, so something I'm not overly upset if it is something we have to end up doing. So sorry, I had to take a drink. I've been talking a whole lot. So, Tier 1, we've already talked about Incineroar a little bit. Having Intimidate's huge. Fake Out, Parting Shot, Snarl. You can actually make this be a carry if you have any kind of weakness policy setups. So this is something that is a very good Pokemon in general. I like it. So it's something good. The better you can pilot Incineroar, usually the better success you have. So that's my general thought on it. So let's look at Tier 1. So Kingdra. If I can do this thing with the weather, Kingdra is very big. I've used Kingdra in the past. Set up Swift Swim. You only need 12 EVs and speed to outspeed Dragapolt if it's not choiced. So it's something that can get very fast, very quickly, put out a lot of damage. You have access to Bounce, you have access to Hurricane, Waterfall, or Hydro Pump, Outrage, or Dragon Pulse, or So with Kingdra, you can go physical or special. That's the beauty of it, is you can keep your opponent guessing all game. So that's something I like personally. Moving forward, Dragapult was number 1 on this list, but ultimately decided I like to have the weather aspect of Kingdra better. Dragapult is a jack of all trades and master of all of them, not how the saying typically goes. This guy, he can put out damage physically, can put out damage specially. Actually, the special side I think is better for Draft League just because lots of different coverage you can get. You also have access to screens, breaking swipe, Sucker Punch is also very good. Something on single shot Urshifu we didn't touch on. So Dragapolt, very good Mon, very versatile, and versatility in Draft League is massive. So Guard Chomp, something else I'm looking at. Mainly because in this tier 1 slot for this draft board, actually we'll talk about a few of these at a time. Garchomp, Barraskewda, and Celesteela here. Actually, we'll just cover the rest of them. Kartana, Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn's the only outliner here, but Garchomp, Barraskewda, Celesteela, Kartana, all of these are supposed to be I want them to be carries on this team. Garchomp doesn't really benefit from any weather other than sand, so if you can get some sand, you might be able to get to where you can dodge a few moves. Barraskewda does great in the rain. Really high attack stat. You can also use Propeller Tail to ignore any redirection. And a lot of different coverage on that Pokemon. So you can get Poison Jab, Close Combat, Liquidation, things like that. You get any weaknesses you can kind of have an answer for, and it's stupid fast. Celesteela and Kartana are these Ultra Beast here that really benefit in rain, which is something that I kind of want to utilize this season. Celesteela, Ultra Beast, it can be very bulky. Steel Flying is a very good type. Steel in general is a good type. And so Kartana, same deal, benefits from rain, but even with AV and rain, you still might go down to a stray flamethrower from anything. So not always the best there, but Kartana could be a very good complementary piece. Ferrothorn, if I wanted to go for a passive play, and really wasn't enjoying what I saw out of the tier 1 slots across the league kind of deal. So Ferrothorn's here. Realistically, probably don't pick it up. I think I'd go Kartana instead just for the sake of damage. But something that it can be good with the right components and stuff. But here's the fun stuff. This tier 2 is where this whole idea of weather came from. And we're going to talk about these. We're going to talk about Liepard and Sableye at the same time. So Liepard, really good prankster user. Same with Sableye. Both these have Fake Out. They both have access to Sunny Day, and they both have access to Rain Dance. So you don't even have to worry about drafting Politoed or Torkoal, which is something that most people think when they're thinking of a weather-based team. So you can actually maybe carry both on a 6-man team going into a match for the week. And so this allows you to run Venusaur and Kingdra on the same team, probably not in the same battle, but you can change your strategy up on the fly. So having access to that, but Prankster with Fake Tears or Screech or Copycat, something that Liepard gets. Sableye gets Quash. Sableye gets Will-O-Wisp. Liepard gets Thunder Wave, so you get speed control. So both these Pokemon, very good. And I think they could be very fun to build around. Very good tier 2 supports. So the third tier 2 in here is if we don't get either one of these, Klefki can do the same job. So all three of these are fairly interchangeable. You just lose the Fake Out with Klefki, but you do get a different typing with Steel and Fairy, which is good. Very good defensive typing. I think Liepard and Sableye are better just because they're dark types, so you can't Prankster taunt them. And Klefki's been used a lot in this league, so I think people will prioritize taking out Klefki, whereas the other two probably get a chance to be on the field. The bonus here is Sableye doesn't get faked out because it's a ghost type as well. So there's some fun things you can do here. Liepard with U-turn and Sucker Punch can be very beneficial. It also gets access to Unburden, so you can maybe go that route instead if you wanted to benefit off of terrain. But I think Prankster in general would be better. But very good tier 2, very fun tier 2, something I haven't used yet, so we'll see how it goes. So let's move forward on these other two tier 2s right here. So we have Poliwrath and Seismitoad. These guys are if I don't get Kingdra. So both these guys are swift swimmers. Poliwrath fighting in water. Can be very good. You also can use coaching with it. Used it in off-season cup, had a lot of fun with it, was able to actually catch somebody by surprise, led both Kingdra and Poliwrath, and then I threw in Politoed in the Kingdra slot, and Poliwrath belly drums, goes to town. So you do have access to a really good boosting move, so you don't have to maximize your attack. You can actually be minimum attack, and then just rely on the +6 off belly drum with Citrus Berry. Seismitoad is water ground. Something that I like about it is you can go physical or special, and you get a lot of the same coverage on both sides. So if you max it, if you see overgrowth from Seismitoad, you really don't know which one it is until it comes out of max. So that's something that can be very fun to use and get the mental games there. So realistically, though, if we get Kingdra, we're probably not looking at these two tier 2s. We're actually going to be looking at the other tier 2s below them, is Magnezone and Scavalier. Magnezone is something we've used in the past. We like the steel types here. This is kind of trying to close that Firewater, Grass, Fairy, Steel, Dragon core. Getting cores complete is a big deal to me. It helps your type coverage and helps you have a game plan in the future. But a Scavalier is a really good Trick Room piece. We'll get to that in a minute. But Magnezone can be in or out of Trick Zone. It's really a faster Pokemon, so you can probably scarf it if you want to go for Thunders in the Rain. You can go defensive set with Iron Defense Body Press. You can use Analytic. You can use Sturdy. Air Balloon is a really good item for it. So it can be a very good special attacker with some bulk and a little bit of speed, which is something I personally like to have on my teams going forward. But let's look at the tier 2s here. We have the Serena as a grass type. I believe this is going to be Tangrowth right there. So Serena is great for Queenly Majesty. The idea is you can put Serena by Tapu Fini and you essentially have Psychic Terrain and Misty Terrain active at the same time. You have Misty Terrain so you don't get Saddest, and then you have Queenly Majesty so you don't get priority moved. So something that could be very good for this team. Tropkick's a very good move in dropping attack. Tangrowth here, Redirection works well in the sun, but you also get Regenerator, so very interesting support at 50 base speed, though. It's not the fastest, so not going to be great at abusing sun, but could. Really, Serena is the preferred Pokemon here if I have to go one way or the other. So the other one here is Cofagrigus. It's something that I looked at. It's a ghost type. It was a Trick Room setter. Realistically, probably not going to go get it because of what we have here in these tier 3s and tier 4s. But a good Pokemon nonetheless. You know, get Will-O-Wisp. You can go get Iron Defense and actually do body press things. Very defensive, respectable special attack in the 90s. So this guy could do damage, something we might be looking forward in a free agency move going forward. And then our last tier 2 we're kind of considering is this Clefable or Clefable, however you want to pronounce it. Follow Me, really good support. Clefairy is a lot better. Clefairy is actually a tier 1, but Clefable, something we can use, get reasonable, reasonable coverage with it. You can get your fire moves, fairy moves. It's a respectable special attacker, not going to blow you away though, but you could use it to set something up. Realistically, though, I think if we can get Liepard, we're going to try to go get Serena, and depending if we get Kingdra or not, probably Magnezone or Scavalier. That's kind of where I'm thinking with these tier 2s. So tier 3s, this column right here is all 3 of the Tailwind setters I'm looking at. Speed control is a big deal, and so having access to Tailwind, especially on a faster Pokemon, is very beneficial. Mantine is something we used in the off-season cup. It's it's a water and flying type. Swift Swimmer. So if you get it in rain, it can be very beneficial and something that realistically I liked it. It can be very bulky with its massive special defense stats, so you can just maximize invest in your defense, and now you got a very sturdy Pokemon that's hard to get off the field. So Mantine could be good for Tailwind, as well as it can be like a sub with Aqua Ring and things like that. Be something very hard to get off the field and just whittle you down. Archeops, something that sounds good in theory. If you're using it as a support, Defeatist doesn't matter that much, but if you are able to set off a policy on it, Defeatist also doesn't matter. Plus, if you get above 50% HP with any kind of clerical support or healing, you get your regular stats back. So if you're at +2, you basically make up for any kind of cut in half on your stats. You'll be back at base stats. So it's not horrible, kind of gimmicky, something we could use. Very good stats at 567, I believe, is its base stat total. So very strong tier 3. But realistically, Sigilyph here is probably our top tier 3 choice for these Tailwinds, mainly because you get Tailwind, you get Trick Room on the same thing because it's a flying psychic, you get Gravity, which can be a fun move. It's where you can boost the power of Muddy Waters off Seismitoad or Fini, or Thunders off of Magnezone. It can be a very good Pokemon in general. I think has a lot of supportive capability for this team. So something in Tier 3, that'll probably be our first Tier 3 pick, given the opportunity. So this other Tier 3 slot, we have the Toxicroak, and we have Pangoro, Morgrem, Galvantula. Real quick on Morgrem, basically it's Grimmsnarl Light. You're probably going to Focus Sash this guy, though. But he can do everything but everything Grimmsnarl can except for Spirit Break, which I think that's perfect. You know, if you need that on your team, Tier 3 is a great spot to find it. Toxicroak here gives us a fighting type coverage if we don't get Poliwrath. It actually synergizes well in the rain with Dry Skin. Something that can set up Tapu Fini with Sludge Wave. Also is a great attacking type into a team that is in my division that has Primarina. So Toxicroak, a very good Pokemon there. Pangoro, the Fighting Dark, does a lot of similar things with coaching. It also gets it gets a lot of other things. Let me look real fast. I went blank on my notes. But Pangoro, very good Pokemon. Mold Breaker, Scrappy, Iron Fist, which is always good for any of your punching moves. But Bullet Punch is something you get with it. But like Quash, that's what it is. Quash, Seismic Toss, things like that are good for Pangoro. Toxicroak, though, with some priority with Sucker Punch and Poison Jab. You can go Poison Touch with it if you want to see if you can get Poison chip damage if it activates. So the nice thing about Toxicroak is not a lot of people carry Psychic type coverage, so your 4 times weakness you're really scared about may not even be an issue. So that's the beauty there, and something that I think would synergize well with on a rain team, just because you're going to get HP back and maybe give it a Black Sludge and can recover quite a bit each turn. So a couple Tier 3s we'll look at a time. Actually, this Tier 3 list is fairly long. There's 3 more. So we'll get them all pulled up at the same time just for the sake of time. Heliolis, if I can say that right, is actually going to be a pretty fun Pokemon. I think if you can get Tapu Fini with a Discharge, you can set up a weakness policy really easily, and then you don't have to worry about paralyzing your own Tapu Fini. And also it benefits well with Dry Skin in the rain. You can heal. It also has Solar Power. And it has the base special attack as Charizard, and it's actually faster than Charizard. So you can have a normal electric type doing a lot of damage in the sun as maxed with Life Orb plus Solar Power. So this guy could be a really good sleeper pick out of Tier 3. Magmortar, something that can benefit in the sun. If we need another fire type, if we don't get Charizard, this gives us special attacking Pokemon that can work with Incineroar. It has Clear Smog, Mach Punch. In general, Magmortar can be a very good Tier 3. It's come in on a lot of teams as a free agency pickup, and it's done very well. Alolan Exeggutor, with Harvest in the sun, you can start recouping citrus berries or whatever berry you have on it, a 50% chance in the sun, so potentially every other turn. So it's something that could be very difficult to get off the field. Being a dragon grass type, I think, is beneficial. 4 times weak to ice, but you can set your own sun with flamethrower and things like that too. So you can get weather control within your own max if you needed it. Excuse me. Piloswine here in Tier 3. Something that's very good with Eviolite. You don't even have to have Eviolite on this thing. It has respectable damage too. So this guy, very good. Can be screens, can be support. It can also be great high horsepower damage. You also have access to Ice Shard, so if you can set up a Pokemon that way. Steelix, something else I really like. It's also very good to have in Trick Room, but you can use Sheer Force with Life Orb and negate the Life Orb effects basically to an extent. And it's just a very good Pokemon in general, very strong. Lots of different coverage. You get all the fangs. So you can, if you need Fire Fang to get rid of Durant, which we've done in the past using Steelix, totally possible. And you're bulky enough, you can live those physical hits. And if you want to give it max special defense investment AV, you have respectable defense on a Steelix. Agron, I want to experiment with this pick. That's kind of where it's at. Might be something we look into. Toxicroak's kind of that middle Tier 3 section over here. Something we kind of want to experiment with. And Galvantula there being a good speed control Pokemon. I don't believe we touched on that with Sticky Web or Electro Web, as well as its respectable special attack, so it can do some damage too if needed. But Agron here, really something we kind of want to experiment with. Really good defensive stats, so might be able to get some body press damage off with it. Unfortunately, not the best typing with Rock Steel, so a lot of fighting type coverage can do a lot of damage to this thing. So let's look at this tier 4 list. I think this one's relatively short with just 4 here. So tier 4, we're kind of going to just view this as an as needed kind of thing. But there's this first column of tier 4 though are the only tier 4s that realistically have a lot of priority. Everything else is going to be picked really late in the draft, either rounds 12, anywhere from rounds 11 to 13. So last 4 rounds is where we're looking to pick these guys up. But we have the Audino, which I like because it's a clerical support. It can do everything that Clefable can do. It just doesn't have Follow Me. That's the big drawback there. But you have Heal Pulse, so you can get HP bars back up. You have Helping Hand. You have a lot of different coverage moves. This thing can be give a lot more longevity to a Pokemon on the field, which I like to have a clerical support. Not everybody else may, but if you can get one, it's really good to have. It also has access to Trick Room, which is something that may catch people off guard. And being a normal type, I think in general can be beneficial to have, just because you have just one weakness you have to worry about. Behem, really good Trick Room setter, really good Trick Room sweeper. This guy has been in tier 4 for all seasons. We've talked about moving to tier 3 multiple times. This guy's just good. Very good coverage. I used this thing last season, really enjoyed having it. So Behem, very good tier 4, one of the best tier 4s realistically. The Unpheasant, yeah. Access to Tailwind, really fast, base 115 attack. So getting Tailwind support out of tier 4 I think is valuable. Maybe open up to get something else in tier 3 if we wanted to. This can be a very good Pokemon with Super Luck. You can use Night Slash to get some crits, kind of benefit off that. And so this guy could be good. I'll be kind of figuring it out throughout the season and see how it goes. But Cottony, though, is something that I'm very familiar with throughout all the seasons in the past. With the Prankster, with Leech Seed, Substitute kind of set, with Giga Drain, just constantly regenning. Very annoying to play against sometimes. But this guy, Cottony, very good Pokemon. Prankster is a very good ability. And the fact you can get it in tier 4 is a big deal to me. Something they can use to shut down your opponent's Pokemon. But these other tier 4s right here, we have basically 4 water types. It's something that don't want to compound too many water types on this team, but Seeking, being a Lightning Rod user, can redirect some possible threat we might have with Charizard if we have it on the team. It can help redirect stuff with Poliwrath on the team. So it's something that you might have to be careful if we have Heliolis on the team at the same time, but it's good. It's great to redirect attacks. Any kind of subtle redirection like that is very valuable. It's also a swift swimmer, so get this guy in the rain. It can do respectable damage at 92 attack. And also everybody gives me a hard time because this guy can have 3 abilities at the same time and just wreak havoc. But Seeking is actually a very fun tier 4, something that I look forward to seeing and looking forward to using. Just because you can Horn Drill, you can be very bulky, and just go for those one-hit KOs, or you can try to be fast in the rain and do as much damage as you can. Octillery here is something that I discovered on a playthrough of a team my wife picked out. I had her go through the Pokédex and pick 6 Pokemon. Octillery was one of these Pokemon. I've never used Octillery before, but the nice thing is Octillery has the same attack and special attack stat, and also gets access to a very interesting move in Water Spout. So if you can actually get the speed advantage, let's say Choice Scarf, or Tailwind, you can actually do some respectable damage with Octillery, and you also get a lot of different coverage moves. You get Flamethrower, you get Seed Bomb, things like that. So you can go physical or special with this Pokemon, and it can be a lot of fun. Wellord, very good tier 4, very bulky, very difficult to get off the field. So in general, if you just need a bulky water type for some reason, we have not gotten one here. We are addressing that in this column right here. Wiscash, something that I want to experiment with Dragon Dance. You might be able to get one or two of those off. Now you have respectable respectable attack and speed. And saying, water ground is pretty good type in general. Just watch out for your grass types, but Wiscash can do some potentially some damage. I've used it in random doubles, had it used against me in random doubles many times, and it's cleaned the floor. So curious to see if it can do well in a Pokemon Draft League format. So, but wrapping up these last few Pokemon in this Tier 4, there's a lot here, so we're gonna go quick. Sock, we've talked about it. Sturdy is a great ability. You have access to coaching, close combat's good damage, respectable speed. Crustle, we had the Shell Smash set up if we get redirection. Charge Bug here is if you can utilize Battery for your special attackers. Battery plus anybody in the sun that can use Life Orb and Solar Power, I feel like could be very busted. Very difficult maybe to get that positioning, but in theory sounds like it could be very good for Heliolis or Charizard. Kabutops, Swift Swimmer, really good attack set. Don't want to see grass types with it, but something that can utilize the rain and kind of benefit the team potentially there as well. Solrock, kind of want to experiment with this one. You get a lot of different fire coverage, so it could be beneficial in the sun, something as well. And a lot of different rock stuff. Rock slide spread damage. It has a respectable attack stat. It's in the 90s, low 90s. But like Solrock, not bad. Lunaton's been seeing a lot of play. Let's see if Solrock's any good. Unfortunately, you don't get much access to your stabs because you don't get a physical special attacking move. Togetic. This is our only redirection if we don't get Tangrowth. So Togetic, used it before in the past. Honestly, it was okay. Even with Eviolite, you just do not get the defenses that you get with Togekiss. This is why it's a Tier 4. It's been dropping each tier almost every season just because it has not lived up to expectations. But I think it could be, if I'm dying for redirection, that's why it's here. This Tier 4 slot's kind of like, we're trying to fill a hole in the team if we have one. Galarian Rapidash, we used it last season. Really liked it. You get the Clerical Support, you get Trick Room on it. You can run a lot of different crit moves on it. Fairy, Psychic's decent typing, so Galarian Rapidash, fairly good in general. It can do the same job as Audino if needed, just a little bit faster. But that's okay. These Tier 4s are not perfect. We just try to make them usable and have a role within the team is kind of what I try to have with my Tier 4s. But with all that being said, this is our West Texas Wingulls draft board. One last slide. I know this video is running extremely long. We have the ideal team comp. So our West Texas Wingulls team competition here, composition. We're basically looking at our Fire, Water, Grass core, our Steel, Fairy, Dragon core, and these are things I check off as I'm building this team. We have if we get this ideal team right here, or we get Tapu Fini, Charizard, Incineroar, Kingdra, Lapras, Serena, Scavalier, Sigilyph, Toxicroak, Heliolis, Audino, Seeking, and then Galarian Rapidash. Those Tier 4s are very interchangeable, but if we get that team, we cover all of our cores with the Fire, Water, Grass, Steel, Fairy, Dragon. We get Tailwind with Sigilyph. We get Trick Room with 3 different Pokemon here. We have a Prankster user with Liepard. We have multiple Fake Outs with Incineroar, Liepard, and Toxicroak. We have priority attacks with Sucker Punches with Liepard and Toxicroak. Serena shuts down priority attacks. Also gets Grassy Glide, which could be very good with Cottony, setting up grassy terrain. So we also have different terrain setters with Tapu Fini. Like I said, Serena shutting down with the Queenly Majesty ability, and then Audino, just clerical support in general, is very good. But we find out here in about an hour if this is the team that we get to run for the Season 7 draft. I know there will be a follow-up video that breaks down, between Chris, Ali, and myself, who had the best draft, and kind of just talking about post-draft stuff. Seeing how things go, but I do appreciate y'all for hanging around for as long as you were. This is a long video, but this is how I kind of approach team building. This is not a perfect science for me yet. I do think Season 7 might have been a little, I guess, below average for me, but something that I think you can all. The main thing is you can make up potentially a bad team by good play. Not saying that you should, but if you can play the game, you can make up for a little bit of team building mistakes at times. So that's kind of the big thing that I always like to focus on is play well. You can make up for maybe some holes in your team. But if you draft a good team that covers these cores, and you have a game plan with why you're drafting stuff, and have a overall draft board that you want to stick to, it's kind of what it kind of sets you up for success and makes some really dominant regular season play and make some deep playoff runs, which is something that we are this team, or the West Texas Wingulls team and organization that I have here, has been able to do. Like I said, we've got 2 championships. We've shown up in 4 of them. We have the best overall record in our entire league through the 6 seasons we've played. So this is a fun team, fun thing to do. Hope you've learned something. Appreciate y'all guys for watching, and I will catch y'all on the next one. See ya.